At the start of the story, our man's neck was being brutally chopped off with an axe. He keeps chopping at the neck until the heavy axe finally breaks. Then he heads over to the hardware store to have the axe repaired. Now a lot of time passes, and during the rainy season when he is at home, he sees a strange insect in his house, which he chops into pieces with that same axe, causing the axe to break again. After this, he once again takes the axe to the hardware store to get it repaired. Just then, the man he had killed appears before him again, and now he looks like a strange zombie because David had separated his head from his body and his neck was stitched up. David pulls out the axe again to kill him, and the man says, "This is the same axe. You used to kill me." Now, in the next scene, we see David in a restaurant. Here, he had come to give an interview to a reporter about his supernatural experiences. So the reporter asks David, "Who are you people?" To this, David talks about the previous night, saying that he received a call that night from his friend John, who asked him to meet in the middle of the night. He then packs all his weapons in his bag and goes to meet John. There, along with John, he also meets a girl who tells them that she has seen one of her friends and that he has even tried to hurt her. They find this very strange, and at John's suggestion, they all go to the girl's house. After arriving there, the girl says that she sees him in the basement, but the two of them don't see anything in the basement. During this time, they find a lot of meat in the fridge. Seeing this, they are extremely shocked. At that moment, they remember that the girl looks just like their friend. Realizing this, they become extremely frightened. Just then, they notice the girl who is sitting there after coming in. They tell her to leave, but suddenly her body transforms into a lot of snacks. Seeing this, he tries to run away in fright, but he can't escape. At that moment, the meat kept in the fridge comes out and gathers together to form a body. Now that monster made of meat grabs David. It seems to be thinking something else, and says, "Marconi, you are not that Marconi." And then it lets David go. And then in the next scene, we see David trying to convince the reporter by telling him that he has $83 in his pocket and also describes his dream to him. Hearing this, the reporter is impressed. Now David tells him that all of this started many years ago. When David was sleeping, he got a call from John, who sounded very scared and was calling him to his room. Now when David arrives, John suddenly makes him lie down on the floor and says that they need to get out of there quickly, otherwise they will be attacked here. But David couldn't understand anything. Just then, he checks the bag and finds a gun inside. At the same time, we see that there is a huge, dangerous spider above, but David doesn't notice it. Suddenly, he finds a black drug in the bag. Seeing this, he is very surprised, and when he asks John about it, John can't really answer and tells him to go somewhere safe. The two of them go to a restaurant, and David tells John that their friend has named this drug Soy Sauce. After taking it, the doors to another world open up, and he asks him, "Did you take the drug?" To this he replies, "Yes, how could I miss it?" Now we find out that he remembers things that never actually happened and that he has come from another world of the craze. And now David suddenly gets a call from John. He thinks it might be a recording, but it was actually a call from John. Now it becomes clear that the John sitting in front of him is the John from the other world. Upon learning this, he is very surprised and asks the John sitting there to come back with him. When he is in the car, he accidentally gets pricked by the drug needle. This scares him a lot and he throws it out. Now, while he is driving, someone grabs him from behind and puts a crease in his clothes. And when he tries to stop the car, the crease cuts him and then the man tells him to keep driving. But here, John was talking very strangely in a completely unconscious state, which David couldn't understand at all. Now David sets the grease on fire and throws it out, stomping on it several times. Then, when he comes back to the car, that man has disappeared from there. Just then, an officer arrives and starts questioning David again. He tells him, "Tell me the truth about everything that's happening here." At that moment, David already knows what the detective is about to say next. All of this was happening because of those drugs. Now the detective tells him that everyone who went to the party last night has been killed, and those who survived are in very bad condition, with 3 people missing. And your friend John, who was the only one to make it out of there, is also in very bad condition. All of this happened after taking the drugs, and now in the next scene, we are shown a restaurant. Now the reporter tells him that all of this is happening because of the drugs, and the students who died a few years ago also died because of drugs, and yet you are still able to talk about the money and dreams in my pocket. And after this, David takes the reporter to the car and shows him the same strange spider-like creature that we saw in John's room. Seeing this, the reporter gets extremely scared because until now he thought all of this was a lie. After this, the reporter tells Detective Officer David that he is going outside, and when he comes back, he will ask David for the whole story. After that, David receives a call from John. He was quite shocked. Now John tells him the way to get outside and says that there is an officer with him, but John tells him that the officer isn't real and asks him to look in the mirror. When he looks, he sees that there is no one there except himself. He realizes he is alone, which makes him think that the officer can't harm him, so he tries to get out of there. Just then, the officer suddenly and very aggressively attacks him and tries to strangle him with his bare hands. At that moment, David pulls the officer's hand, causing the officer's hand to come off. But the hand was still tightly wrapped around his neck and started choking him. And then David manages to leave the room, and as soon as he steps outside, the hand disappears. Now John calls David to check their friend's house. When he arrives at his friend's house, he sees blood everywhere. Just then, he sees on the TV that the detective officer is shooting him. Seeing this, he is quite shocked. At that moment, he sees a detective arriving there. During this, he finds 2 drug pills that start to burn, and to save John, he has to take those pills. However, one of the pills goes up his nose and the other pierces through his cheek and goes inside. Now, a lot of strange things start happening in his mind. Just then, the same officer arrives and says that he found another man in a very strange condition whose entire body was undergoing bizarre changes. And then after that, the detective tells him that he is the one who opened the door to the other world, which he will now close, and then he shoots David. From this, David realizes that what he was seeing on the TV was actually his own future. But because of that gunshot, nothing happens to David. And when he regains consciousness, he takes a car from there and drives away. At that moment, John starts talking to him with the help of the dog sitting in his car because he had taken the drugs. So John tells him that some other friends are still alive. Now here it is revealed that the drug itself has chosen David. If he doesn't use its power, he will be killed. After this, David reaches his home where one of his friends is also present. He had completely changed, which scares David, and he shoots him. But he comes back to life again and punches David, causing him to lose consciousness. When he wakes up, he finds himself in a container where his friends and John are also present. Now the dog licks him and John gets better. Now their friend is taking them to a place where he shows them the door to another world and then asks them to help open that door. Just then, David spots a packet, so he tries to run and grab it, but his friend stops him and opens the packet himself. No, inside it was written to check the trace can, and then he starts checking the can. At that moment, the detective arrives, kills him, and sets the place on fire. Then the detective comes to them and tells them to come along with him. But on the way, the detective officer's eyes suddenly bulge out in a strange way, and insects start coming out of his mouth, causing the insects from the car to enter his friend's body. So David shoots him and then sets the place on fire, and then they start heading towards the other world through that door. After this, John takes out weapons from his car, and with the help of his friend Amy, they manage to open the door, but Amy is unable to go inside. However, her dog manages to get in. Once inside, they see a pole, and from behind it a man appears who tells them that he has been waiting for them for a long time. because they are the ones who can go to the other world. Then he introduces them to people who give them weapons, and with the help of a liquid pool, they reach the other world. Now, the people of the other world tell them about their history, explaining that the creatures attacked and completely destroyed them. Then they take them to meet the creature monster, which is enormous and grows even bigger as it eats people. And here we find out that it is about to reach David's world soon as well. Upon learning this, David activates the gun weapon, and the guards standing there attack them, causing David to almost fall near the monster creature. John burns and kills all the guards there and saves him. And when they try to escape, the machine's countdown stops. Amy's dog turns it on for her and, taking it with him, leaps onto the monster. This causes a huge explosion, but both of them manage to escape through the door where the doctors were already present. They help them get out. After this, we find out that the reporter had already died and is no longer in his own body. And when he finds this out, he becomes extremely frightened and starts fighting with David. When he checks the car, he sees his own dead body. His neck had been brutally slashed and severed. Because of this, the reporter thinks that David is the one who killed him. David tells him, "I didn't kill you. Look at your body. It's been lying here for a long time." After this, the reporter starts to leave for a while, and David tells him that after he died, David used him in his project. Hearing this, he becomes very upset, and before anyone realizes it, he disappears from there. David and John are playing basketball when a doorway to another world opens up in front of them. In this world, the creatures had taken control of the people, causing them to become infected. Then two people come up to them and ask for help, but both of them refuse and walk away from there. And that's where the movie ends.